my profession in particular, because we work with a lot of abuse victims, and in our society, it's a very touch-phobic society. We have historically had a taboo against touching. But more and more, we're recognizing the benefits of touch for our clients, even if they've had harmful experiences with touch. So that is, even if touch has been used to harm them or control them or abuse them in some way, there's no reason why they can't learn from positive touch.
Right. And why do you think that we are a touch-phobic society or culture?
I don't know why we are. I think we're definitely different from other countries, and I think in our country in particular, we have different ways of rearing our children. You know, in the 20s, the child-rearing literature warned against, don't let your child sit in your lap, you know, don't give your child too much physical affection, you might indulge them, they would become spoiled. You're able, you know, it's okay to give them a little pat on the head, but so for a long time, we even believed that it was appropriate to not show affection to children. I think it's a sad thing because we know what the benefits are. But we've kind of been indoctrinated with the idea that it's not okay to touch. And it's also a litigious society, I think. So there's a lot of worry, like in the workplace, about sexual harassment, for example. You know, again, people who are not receptive to touch, if you force touch on them, it can be a really uncomfortable experience for them.
Right, free of charge. I also happen to have an unlimited supply. I never run out of these things. What you pretty people doing today?
We're having Shakedown Sunday.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much. You're a good hugger. I think you got some practice behind you. Oh, good. Thank you. Come on, beautiful person. Oh, yeah, you guys, you've been doing this before, I think.
Professionals.
Yes. Thank you so much. Good luck today. You too. Hi, beautiful person.
Hi, how are you? Good. I was telling my daughters, I said, you know, a hug makes a big day for a lot of people.
You guys are beautiful. Thank you so much. Bring it one more time.
All right. Thank you.
You all have a wonderful day. You too, okay?
I want a hug.
You're very smart people. Very smart. Thank you.
Some might be asking themselves, why not just go ahead and give the hugs? Why do they need to be recorded? Well, I can confidently report to you that I am not very bright. The fact that some background and film and videography didn't really strike me until after I secured a venue to show the documentary. I was emotionally invested and convinced people would become part of the change if they were to receive a hug or hear about the project. The hugging documentary would reach a much larger audience if I made it shareable via our host of media outlets. Besides, my intention was there, and intention does not consider logistics. Intention is driven by emotion and forward feeling. One post in Facebook specifying the hugging documentary's mission and first hugging location, and I had set off on a journey that was fast-paced and extremely curious and popular. Evidence that people wanted to be part of something good, to feel special, valued, and loved.
I know, like, some of the research that I've read on touch and physical touch, it's really pretty amazing, the studies that they've done. So, you know, like, if a waitress touches a customer, slightly during the course of the interaction, they're more likely to get a tip. If a doctor touches a patient in a reassuring way during the visit, then the patient rates the visit as twice as long as it actually was. Which is really, I mean, that's just, it's amazing.
That's kind of bizarre,
just
actually.
simple little things. And yeah, but they can't say why they're feeling that way. Like, they don't say, oh, I gave the waitress a tip because she touched me. It's almost like it's on an unconscious level that it kind of provokes friendly gestures and friendly emotions.
So people are being measured,
Right.
not
right.
quantitatively,
Right.
by touch.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We are very grateful for Ramona Moore Big Eagle to join us today. Master in Education, and probably has a real depth of knowledge about hugging. And overall, what would you, Ramona, describe as your opinion of hugging?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Christina. I want to thank you also for having me here for this. I formulated an opinion about hugging a long time ago, so it's just really interesting when I met you and the whole hugging project, because back in college, I don't know really what made me come to this thought or this understanding, but I came to the understanding and thought that the people you see that look grumpy, that don't have a smile on their face, it's because they're hug deficit. They don't get enough hugs a day. And I believe, I've read somewhere that people need at least 20 hugs a day. Now, I'd always said people need at least 7 hugs a day. So when I read 20 hugs, I said, boy, all of us are really hug deficit. But to get 7 hugs a day helps affirm a person's, ego, helps affirm them as a person, their value. And most people hardly ever get a hug a week sometimes, in some cases, just depending on how their family dynamics are. So we have a lot of hug deficit people going around. Now, as a storyteller and as a mother and a grandmother, I make sure, if it doesn't just happen, I make sure I get enough hugs a day. But anytime I tell a story, it's just an automatic response. So I get lots of hugs a day. It's because they're hug deficit. It's because they're hug deficit. It's because they're hug deficit.
I think so. I think that a couple of things happened that made me realize the significance of a really good hug and how important it can be in daily life. Just hugging people that you meet, hugging people you know, hugging to let people know how important they are to you and that you don't want them to forget how important they are to you. But the day after the plane crash, I think, was the first time that I noticed that significance about what a hug could mean to somebody. Actually, the night of the plane crash, when I came home to my daughter's house, she handed her baby to her husband, and she hugged me and hugged me and hugged me, and we cried, and it was one of those moments that is crystallized in your memory.
Myself, I went to
Free hugs! Come and get you one. I'm a hugger, not a fighter. Thank you, darling. Oh, yes. Thank you. Have a gorgeous afternoon. Free hugs! Hi! Care for a free hug today? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, guys! Free hugs right here. Free hugs. Free hugs. Yes. Yes. Very smart person. Thank you. Free hugs.
You know, it's definitely been proven, not so much per se with hugging, but it's been proving that children that are born and do not receive touch, as opposed to children that do receive touch, do not thrive. In fact, they don't even survive if they don't receive touch. So touch is very elemental and basic for all human beings. And I think that hugging is the ice cream on the cake. You're not only touching them, but you're letting them know by that embrace that you appreciate them, you value them. So hugging and touching period is just so affirming to people. It can, communicate so many things of love and compassion and understanding, empathy. So hugging is so valuable.